long time.
Yes, yes,
Of
yes, yes.
their former colonies, yeah.
So
Okay.
that is what a wrong perception our Eastern wisdom says. Eastern wisdom always focus on the right knowledge. So when we say talk about the right knowledge, we say that right knowledge is always present, whether it is past or present or the future. So you see that when we talk about it, and I normally talk that Eastern wisdom is 6,000 years old. We have 3,000 masters and 3,000 texts. So the masters in every text declare that don't believe that a teacher is teaching. That is not important. It is not important that it is 6,000 years old tradition. What is most important that the truth is spoken there. The truth is spoken there. So that is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. You see that you say you have found the truth? Yes. Are you in a state of permanent peace and happiness? Yes. Did you discover that? Throw all the books. Don't create any cult and dogma and belief and religion. Our masters have been so open, straightforward. So normally what happens that, and that people stick to one text and then they say, okay, then they create a cult and dogma and belief. That is an insert to the teachings of the Eastern wisdom. They say whether when it is spoken, in which book it is spoken, who spoke is not important. What is very important is the truth. And what is the truth? That is beyond the time, or that is present in the past, in the future, in the present. That is beyond the location. That is beyond the Himalayas in the terrain. So, after saying this, they explain that these masters say that find out there are only two things in the world. What are these two things? One is the matter, and other is the consciousness. Whether I say there is a smart remote or my computer or my house or my car, essentially, they all are made up of the matter. Essentially. What is not me is made up of the matter. What is seen in the world? I see your body, you see my body. Body is also made up of the matter. That is they say only two things, and the other is consciousness. So, consciousness manifest life. It means all living beings have consciousness, but they do not have a proper instrument to manifest. You give the human five sense organs of the human to an ant, they will also start expressing themselves. So they say where the consciousness is, the life is manifesting. So one is consciousness and other is matter. Now they go further. They say the matter is inert. Science also says matter is inert. But our masters, they take one step more. They say, just see the attributes of the consciousness. Because our goal is to find our true nature. So, what they say? So, just see that, ask the matter, ask your right hand. I see my right hand. But does the right hand say that I also see you? No, it doesn't say. Why it doesn't say? Because it is matter. So, what are the characteristics of matter? The matter does not know itself. The remote does not know itself. One characteristic. And the second, this remote does not know me. So, all the matters have the same characteristics, whether it is body, whether it is remote, whether it is my house, your computer, my computer, where we are virtually talking to each other. But the moment we say consciousness, I am consciousness. So I know myself and I know you. You see the second factor. So now comes I know you as a human being, but the mind say our master says don't go outside. Find out who you are. What is your true nature? When you say I know you, there are two things, I and you. So because your goal is to find the real self. So see that who you are. Now come back. Am I the body? No. Body is a matter. Am I the breath? No. Am I the mind? No. I always say I possess mind. I possess intellect. It means mind and the intellect are my possessions. I am not the body and the mind. And then who am I? So ultimately, we step back, you know, to get success in the material world, you have to step forward. Through your mind and intellect and ego, you gain prestige, you gain recognition, you work hard, and you get money. But in meditation, we step back step by step from the world to the body, from the body to the breath, from breath to the mind, from mind to the intellect, from intellect to the ego. And the ultimate source we find, it is pure consciousness. And that is our true nature. Can consciousness be divided? No. One characteristics of the truth is it cannot be divided. That is what we have seen in the last 4 years. The truth has been altered. We started using alternative facts. It cannot happen. The truth remains same. It remains undivided. Truth is of the nature of the knowledge. So we say, our master says that this truth is of the nature of a knowledge. Consciousness, either you say consciousness plus knowledge, or you say that very knowledge is consciousness. So they say our real nature is of the nature of consciousness, knowledge. A beautiful statement comes from the Upanishads. They say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. My real self is truth, it is infinite, and it is knowledge. So, because if the consciousness does not have that right knowledge, if it is not all pervading, if it is not truth, then it has no value. Then it becomes a part of the world. Then it can be divided. So, what we say that our truth, that real nature, discovery of that real nature is the goal of meditation, mindfulness, yoga, mantra, tantra. Leave aside those, the tricks and the magics people like to play and demonstrate and to show. That is a very lower level of uh, the teaching. Even the Buddha says, know thyself. He said only one, know thyself. Buddha was inclined towards all these practices, and he was the only son, prince of his father, king. So he said, the father said to ask the Buddha, now is the time to become a king, and I want to retire. So Buddha said, I am ready to be the king, provided if I do not become old. Tell me, if I become a king, can you be sure that I should not become old? I should not become sick. I should not die. So his father said, what a crazy question. Son said, Buddha said, it is not crazy, it is the reality. Why should I take any action in my life that does not help me to reach to the truth? So that was one interaction between Buddha and his father. Even though he married, he had a son, and one day he said there is nothing in it, and he left, and ultimately he reached to that state of the mindfulness. Now, see that there is another way to understand this process. We say, just think of it, waking state, dream state, and sleeping state. Now, say, pay attention. We experience pain and pleasure, sorrow and happiness in waking state and in dream state. But do we experience pain and suffering in sleeping state? No. There is only one state in the deep state of the sleep, that is peace, that is calmness, that is happiness. So, in a waking state, the mind is active. In a dream state, the mind is active. In sleep state, the mind, huh? The sleep state is going beyond the mind. Mind doesn't, we go beyond the body and the mind. So from there, our masters concluded that how we can transcend the mind in a conscious state. So, two things emerge out of it. It means all meditation and mindfulness practice should be done in a waking state. If I become lazy, if my mind have a sleepiness, that is an obstacle. If the mind is distracted, that too is a problem of in meditation. So just see that, imagine, think of it, reflect. In sleep state, normally I don't experience, in deep sleep, I'm talking of the deep sleep, that is what the real sleep state. I don't experience any pain in the suffering. Why? Because I transcend the body and I transcend the mind. But I experience duality, opposing pain and pleasure, and sorrow and the happiness, hate and the love, all either in a waking state or in a dream state. That is because of the mind. So if I understand the nature of the mind, then I can easily enter into a mindfulness or meditative state. You see how they arrived at step by step conclusion. Now, mind. So, you have heard from me couple of times that this mind, if we transcend the mind in a waking state, that is known as turiya, the fourth state of the consciousness. There are three states of the mind: waking, dream, sleep. And the fourth state is known as turiya, fourth state of meditation. Turiya simply means the fourth state that transcends the mind, and the fourth state is known as the state of pure consciousness. And once the mind lives into that, reflects that, we say we are in the state of meditation. We are in the state of highest state of mindfulness. But it is the same mind that causes the problem. Which mind? Same mind. Why mind causes the problem? because mind has created so many wrong notions. And what are the wrong notions? Pleasure, happiness. See one example of pleasure, happiness. I eat pasta because I like pasta. Because I like pasta, it gives me happiness. But when I eat pasta daily, that happiness, pleasure, goes on decreasing. And if you give me pasta only every day in breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even if I like pasta, it does not give me pleasure. But then what happens? The mind creates an habit or attitude, and that it means, what is that habit? The mind is seeking the pleasure and the happiness from the person, from the people, from the objects and location. That distracts the mind, that causes the impurity in the mind. So, until the mind that is running outside is distraction, the mind obsessed with something outside, it is still running outside. That is another state of the mind. So, until the mind changes itself with the right understanding, with the right knowledge, with the clarity and conviction, then the mind is ready to move inside, and it helps us to enter into a meditative state. And that leads to mindfulness and meditation. But what happens? People say, focus on the breath and you will go into meditation. Without understanding, how can you enter into meditation? Without having your address, I understand where is your address. Your address is in New Jersey, in Princeton, in this street. This is the number. Now I understand. So my mind can help me reach to that exact location. So people normally go without that understanding what exactly is meditation, as if meditation is a material activity. Close your eyes, focus on the breath, chant this mantra, uh, uh, stand on your head, uh, stretch your right leg over your neck, and you will be meditating. Some people say without practicing postures, you cannot enter into a lot of wrong notions. But once we have a clarity, we understand here is the right path, then we can enter into mindfulness easily. So, after having that basic understanding, we can say moving the mind within from outside to inside means I leave the matter, living within, consciously living within. Mind is living with the mind itself without any object, and that leads to awakening. What happens in mindfulness? We awaken to the knowledge of the reality. Let us start our practice of meditation now.